A very good morning to all of you. It's an honor and privilege to be chairing the very first session of this global forum. At the outset, I would like to thank Adrian and Catherine for the opportunity to be here as part of this wonderful group. Nice to see some old friends as well as some very dedicated and committed both researchers and ethicists. The first session kind of reflects the theme of the meeting itself, the whole issue of ethics in research in pregnancy. I would slightly amend it to say ethics of research and in pregnancy and childbirth, for the simple reason that many of the interventions that we try to test around childbirth pose some unique challenges. In fact, one of the case studies that is being presented revolves around that whole issue. So when we think about the ethical issues, broadly we can say, obviously, for interventions that are targeting childbirth or labor, such as active management of third stage, various options for that. Just as an example, there are interventions that we test during pregnancy, and now even we are going beyond and looking at interventions in the preconception period. And what's unique about these interventions is the interventions may be administered to the pregnant woman or a potential pregnant woman, but the outcomes may affect the mother alone, the mother and the baby, or the baby alone. And that, again, increases the complexity around the whole ethical conduct of research. We also have the whole issue of individual consent versus community consent, especially for those of us who work in community settings, looking at scaling up interventions that are tested in tertiary care hospital settings out in the communities. Again, a whole set of different challenges in conduct of research around those interventions. And of course, the regulatory environment keeps evolving, and I can talk of my country, India, where now for any new chemical entity, a new drug being tested, there's a mandatory requirement of audiovisual consenting of the whole consent process. So we are living in a challenging environment, and I think the goal of this meeting, I can't speak for Wellcome Trust, but from my sense, is how do we make this work and make it work ethically? So I think that's what we are tasked with. We have a number of interesting cases being presented as a trigger to initiate discussion. We have very limited time, so my request to the speakers as well as the audience is to keep the discussion very focused. We do want to hear your voices. We do want to capture your opinions and feelings and suggestions, but we need to be efficient in terms of time. So having said that, I would like to invite the three distinguished speakers for this morning. First and foremost, Dr. Hema Dumale, Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology from my own institution, who's been involved in research with our group around different options for management of third stage of labor. We started working with misoprostol in 2001, then we worked with WHO on the simplified package of active management, and now we are working on the carbetocin protocol, where one of the key issues that we keep debating about is when do we put a cutoff in terms of screening and enrolling a woman who is in active labor. When we started out in 2001 with the misoprostol trial, we said up to 4 centimeters of cervical dilatation we can enroll, saying that the woman is in a reasonably good position to provide consent. For the WHO active management and the carbetocin trial, we're using 6 centimeters of dilatation. There's no really scientific basis for those cutoffs. These are somewhat arbitrary cutoffs, and the investigators are challenged to make these work, and it's not a fixed thing. From the time you start the consent till you complete the consent process, the woman is progressing. So what's the cutoff? So Dr. Hema will be presenting a case study related to that protocol. Followed by that, we have Sophia, who will be talking about the interventions targeting pregnancy in terms of impacting preterm labor. And then we have Vilada from Laos talking more broadly about the whole research in a limited research setting and dealing with community consent, participation, and all that. So we're going from specific to the broad in this session. So I request all the 3 speakers to kindly come up onto the stage, and Dr. Hema will start with the first presentation.